Life Itself is directed by Steve James. It's a documentary about the life and times of film critic Roger Ebert based off of his memoirs, also called Life Itself. In regards to people's opinions, I think a documentary can be the most widely varying, simply because you have to have at least some interest in the subject to really love a documentary. Yes, there are documentaries where you can go in knowing nothing about it and become fascinated by it, and that shows how good a documentary can be. Sometimes documentaries can actually reach beyond someone who does not have an interest in, say, McDonald's. I can tell you that after I saw Super Size Me, I did not eat McDonald's for 2 whole years. It's honestly true. That film had such an impact on me. And documentaries can do that. The really good ones can. Life Itself is a documentary that I think is extremely important for people who love film, or just people who are interested in knowing about someone who really loves movies and seeing the impact that he had on so many people around him, because Roger Ebert is a film critic that inspired me greatly during his life. I always wanted to talk about movies. I always wanted to make films. And even when I wasn't reviewing films like I am now, I was still reading Roger Ebert's reviews, because his reviews were able to reach beyond that wall that so many critics put up around themselves, where you feel like they're impenetrable, like you just can't really figure out what's going on in he or she's mind because they're up on a tower, you know? I'm better than you. I didn't have an experience with the audience. I'm just kind of reporting my thoughts on this film. I didn't feel enthralled. I'm not going to use I or myself or any of those type of words in my review. I'm just going to kind of do a news report on what I experienced, but I won't actually let you know that I experienced anything. That's how I feel when I read a lot of film critics' reviews nowadays. I never felt that with Ebert. And what this documentary explored so well was his effect on his family, particularly Chaz Ebert, and just how determined he was to live and enjoy life and see as many films as he could. I was actually very surprised to learn a lot of the things I learned about his upbringing and the way he used to be. I honestly did not know that he suffered from alcoholism. That was news to me. And there were a lot of things that I learned about the way he viewed himself and his relationship, especially with Siskel, that really surprised me. Those guys really did not get along very well at first. They had a very difficult relationship for a while, and it made for some great sparring chemistry when you watch the television show. And I was not expecting to have actual footage of him in the hospital. I did not know that this was filmed during his life. I had no idea about that. So that was actually very shocking to see and a little hard to watch. And that was one of the aspects of the film that really surprised me. I would say my only disappointing thing was that it didn't really delve that much into the art of film criticism. And that would have been something I would have liked to have seen more about. But I can tell that that wasn't really the purpose of the movie. It was more about his life and how he lived it and the people around him that were affected by him. But I would have liked to have learned a little bit more of his specific approach of filmmaking, and not just he won a Pulitzer Prize, he was on a TV show. I just wanted a little bit more about the art of film criticism, but that is a minor complaint amongst a heap of praise about this individual, about his life, and how inspiring he was to people like myself. I'm going to give Life Itself a B+. I think it's a very good documentary. It's not one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, but I do think that it explores Roger Ebert's life very successfully. It's going to be opening in theaters on July 4th and video on demand on July 4th. So even if you don't have a theater near you seeing it, you can check it out on the internet, and I hope you guys do, because it is worth your time. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.